Hi guys, welcome to this new video on the channel. And in this video, let me go back to the starting point. We're picking up conceptual questions on algebra, questions which are based on concepts which are not so obviously available in algebra theory, but concepts that you will come across many times over in questions. So I've picked up a group of 5 or 6 questions from algebra, and these are from previous year papers, and old previous year papers. I normally don't, I have not touched the recent ones in this, because the recent ones we will of course do the complete solving of the previous year questions on the channel. So do follow the channel if you want more content like this, and like always, you can rest assured that my solutions will be very unique and very different from what you will get from your normal maths teachers. So here goes conceptual questions of algebra from my side for today. This is the first question. Let y is equal to minimum of x plus 2 comma 3 minus x. What is the maximum value of y for 0 less than equal to y less than equal to 1? So for 0, I mean, I think this should be x, not y. So anyway, let's disregard this part. The question is saying, let's just disregard this part. We'll come back to this. Y is the minimum of x plus 2 comma 3 minus x. So if I look at this question, what this is telling me essentially is that I've got y is a two-part function. What y does, y is the function, what it does, it checks for the minimum of x plus 2 and 3 minus x. It checks for the minimum between these two. So whichever is the minimum between x plus 2 and 3 minus x, y will take that value. So what you need to understand here is that, for example, if you take let's say a value of x like 0. So what does the y function do? At 0, y will calculate two values. It will calculate this value as 2, this value as 3, and then based on the condition that y selects the minimum of the two values at x equals 0, the function y will take this value, not the 3 value. So always, at all points, what the function will do is it will test the first value, it will test the second value, and between these two values, whichever is the smaller value, it will return that as the answer. That's what y does. So and the question structure here is, what is the maximum value of y? What is the maximum that y can take? So if I think about this, the best way to think about such questions is to visualize the graphs of these two functions. This is an individual function, y, x plus 2 is an individual function, 3 minus x is an individual function. And for this you should be good at plotting your straight lines and graphs. So x plus 2 is the 45-degree straight line which passes through the point 0, 2 on the y-axis, and 3 minus x is the minus 45-degree straight line which passes through the point 0, 3 when x is 0, y is 3 on the 3 minus x straight line. So this is the 3 minus x straight line, and this is the x plus 2 straight line. And if you think about the y function, as we know, the y function, what it does, it will test for every value of x, the two values, the yellow line and the red line, and see which one is the lower of the two, and take those two, take that one. So if you notice what's happening to the y function, this is kind of a transition point on the y function. Before this point, between the yellow line and the red line, the yellow line is on the lower side. So y will always stick to this line on this side of this point, and on the right side of this point, once you cross this point on the x-axis and you keep going right, on the right side of this, as you start putting values of x greater than this intersection point, the red line's value height is lower than the yellow line's height. So that basically means that the y function will take this route or this shape. And if you want to find the maximum value of y, it actually is at this point, because the y function does not cross or take a height above this. And so the key point to do a question like this is to identify this point. And for that, the intersection point of the line x plus 2 and 3 minus x can be found for any two graphs. This is the general logic. For any two functions, if you equate the two functions, the value of x you get is the intersection point of the two functions. So if you just equate these two, what you will get is 2x equals 1 or x is equal to 0.5. And that means this point, the point at which the maximum is occurring, is x equals 0.5. And at this point, the value of the function, whether you use this one 2.5 or this one 2.5, because both of them by default, by definition, are equal at being the intersection point, the value of the function will always be 2.5, and this is the maximum value of the y function, and hence the correct answer to this question is 2.5. And the question did say between 0 less than equal to x less than equal to 1. So that part is actually irrelevant in this question, because the fact that if in case because of the fact that we are actually getting the maximum there. अगर इसमें 0.5 नहीं include होता, तो you would have to see that within the range given, which at what is the highest in that range for the function. But anyway, in this question it doesn't matter. This part is redundant. The correct answer is 2.5, because that's not just the maximum value of y for this range of x, but it's the maximum value of y across the x-axis. So let's have a look at the second question. This is a simple one. In this question, they are defining, if you read this question properly, answer the question based on the following information: a function fx is said to be even if f minus x is equal to fx, and odd if f minus x is equal to minus fx. Thus, for example, the function given as fx is equal to x square is even, while the function given by fx equals x cube is odd. Why is fx equal x square even? Because, and you should, this goes back to the concept of even function and odd function. In even function, what happens is f1 and f minus 1 are same, f2 and f minus 2 are same. So if you put 1 here, x is 1 or minus 1, you will get the same value of x square. If you put 5 or minus 5, you will get the same value of 25 for x square. So it doesn't matter whether you put a positive value of x or the same negative magnitude of x. So that's an even function. And in an odd function, what happens is when you change the sign of x, the magnitude remains the same, but the sign also changes. So if I put x is 5 here, 5 cube, x cube is 5 cube, which this value becomes 125. If I put minus 5, it becomes minus 125. So what they're asking me is, based on this understanding, they're asking me you to find out mod x cube. So what is the mod x cube function? Is it even or odd? So all you have to do this is try to see what happens to mod x cube when you change the value of x from, let's say, 2 to minus 2, from a positive value to a negative value of x. So for example, if I take f2 in this case, mod x will be 2 cube will be 8. And if I take minus 2, if I take x as minus 2 in this, the mod of minus 2 will be 2, and 2 cube will again be 8. So what I can see is whether I am taking a positive value of x or a negative value of x, the outcome is coming out to be the same, which is basically what is the definition of an even function, and that's why this is an even function. And from time to time, you will see that the CAT does use even and odd function very commonly, and not just CAT, even other exams use even and odd functions very, very commonly. Now this third question that I have picked up for you today is again a very important question, because it is talking about something which is favorite of not just CAT but all aptitude exams which use the algebra chapter. So not just the MBA exams but non-MBA exams also, you will find these kind of questions very, very commonly available if you are giving your exams which have aptitude and have some amount of mathematics in them. You will realize that this area bounded by curve question is very, very common. CAT का तो सबसे बड़ा favorite is the biggest favorite of the CAT question, and typically even if you look at the last few years CAT papers, you will realize that the area bounded question is something which is so commonly asked. It's so commonly asked that you need to know what happens or how to deal with these questions. So whenever you have an area bounded question, find the area bounded by the three curves. What you have to understand is that there will always be an enclosed area when those curves are mentioned. It will always be an enclosed area, no matter what the function is, what the functions are talking about. There will always be a closed box, some kind of box, and whose area you will be able to measure. So if you see this, the three curves talked about are mod x plus y equals 1, mod x equals 1, and mod y is equal to 1. And they are asking us to find the area of the area bounded by these three. So if I come back to this page and I say that, okay, I am talking about mod x equals 1, I am talking about mod y equals 1, and I am talking about mod x plus y equals 1. Right? So these are the three curves whose area bounded we want to find out. So the principal objective in these questions, to be able to solve the question, is to be able to work out what kind of shape the area is. The three curves are bounding together, and then use geometry principles to find the area of that shape. So if I look at the coordinate axis, this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. So you have to have a little bit of knowledge about graphs. The graph mod x equals 1 is the vertical straight line at 1 on the x-axis. The graph mod x is equal to 1 also has the vertical straight line at -1 on the x-axis, right? And then the graph mod y equals 1, the graph mod y equals 1 will be at a height of 1 on the y-axis. So this point, for example, will be 0, 1, this point will be 1, 1, because this is 1 on the x-axis, and the height of this will always be 1 plus 1, or the height of mod y equals 1 will be -1. So this two red lines represent the mod y equals 1 graph line curves, and the two black lines here, let's not confuse with the black lines here. This, I am putting the coordinate axis in blue lines. I am putting the coordinate axis in blue lines. So the two black lines are representing mod x equals 1. The two red lines are representing mod y equals 1. So the key now is, now this square that you're getting between this red and black, if the question was only mod x equals 1 and mod y equals 1, then the answer would be a base of 2 and a height of 2. So 4 would be the area of this square, but there's a third curve also being talked about. So if you think about the third curve and you try to see what it's going to be looking like, mod x plus y equals 1, you can start off by saying, okay, at x equals 0, what happens to y? So you can see that at x equals 0, y is 1 or -1 for this. 0 plus 1 is mod 0 plus 1 is equal to 1, mod 0 plus -1, which is -1 mod, is also equal to 1, which basically means that these 2 points 0, 1 and 0, -1 will lie on the mod x plus y equals 1 graph. And likewise, when you put y equals 1, when you put y equals 0, the value of x can be 1 or -1. So you can make out that this point and this point are also going to be on this thing. And you should have the experience to understand that this is also basically the curve inside. This is not going to be a curve, a smooth curve. It's going to be a straight line curve. And just to check, you can also see that at x equals 0.5, y also becomes 0.5, which means the point 0.5 is also on this curve. So basically, you should be able to visualize that the mod x plus y equals 1 graph will have this shape on all the 4 sides. So then when you're talking now about the area enclosed by the 3 graphs, we're basically essentially talking about this square or these 4 triangles. So if I just look at this triangle, for example, this triangle has a base of 1 and a height of 1. So half base into height. The area of this triangle is 0.5, and there are 4 such triangles. and the total area of all the 4 triangles added together will be 2. 0.5 plus 0.5 plus 0.5 plus 0.5. So that's how. Or you could have done this by half d1 into d2. This diagonal of this is a square basically. So this diagonal and this diagonal, both our diagonals are 2. So half d1 d2. So half 2 into 2, half 4, which is 2, is the answer to this question. So the area bounded by the 3 curves is equal to 2. So option C is the right answer here. Let's look at the next question. And this question is just intuitive. Let x, y be positive numbers such that x plus y equals 1. Then the minimum value of this expression, x plus 1 by x whole square plus y plus 1 by y whole square. So what happens is you can start thinking about, let's say if I take the value of x is 1. The only constraint for x and y value wise is that x plus y is 1. So if you start doing that, x is 1 will make it this 1 plus 1, 1 by 1. So 2 square, that's 4, and this is 0 plus 1 by 0, which is not defined. But if you take something like 0.999 here and 0.000001 here for y, what will happen is this is 0.001 and this is 1 by 0.001, which is basically 1 by 1 raised to minus 3, which is basically something like 1 by 1000. Basically 1 divided by 0.001 will become essentially around 1000, and square of that will actually become millions. And if I can take 0.001, nothing stops me from putting another 9 here and putting this as 0.0001. So you realize what happens is that if you're putting all the value into either x or y, because these two are symmetric to each other, x plus 1 by x whole square and y plus 1 by y whole square, both these are symmetric to each other. So if you're putting all the value of that one that you have, if you're putting most of it in either x or y, the value of this expression that you are evaluating ends up becoming infinite. So that's where you should realize, and again, if you are a smart aspirant who is preparing well for these exams, what you will make sure is that these patterns are things, as I told you, what I've picked up is conceptual questions, but things that are not, you will not learn these in theory. These are things that you have to learn in problem solving in your preparation for an exam like CAT or any other exam that has, even IPMAT now has these kind of questions. So you have to be able to recognize these patterns and understand and know these patterns through your preparation. And intuitively you should know that the condition for the minimum value will happen if you take x and y both as 0.5. In that case, this value is 0.5 plus 1 by 0.5, which is 2. So this is 2.5 whole square, and this is also 0.5 plus 1 by 0.5, which is 2.5 whole square. So 2.5 whole square is 6.25 plus 6.25. The correct answer ends up at 12.5, which is what the question is talking about. And anyway, given these options, if you try to reduce it to 12, if you're not so sure about the equal giving you the minimized value, you can try to take a value like 0.6 and 0.4 and check that the value of this expression will actually go up beyond 12.5, and you will not be able to reduce it to less than 12.5. That's the logic that was applied in this question. Agar 0.6 se try karoge, you can work it out that the overall value. I would encourage you to pick up a calculator or try to do it on your own. जैसे 0.4 है तो ये 0.4 है और ये 1 by 0.4 है, which is 2.5. So ये 2.9 whole square हो जाता है, और वो 0.6 plus 1 by 0.6, ये 0.6 है और 1 by 0.6, which means 1.666. So 2.26 square हो जाता है. If you try this on the calculator, you will see that the value actually turns out to be much more than 12.5. Easily, if not much more, but at least comfortably more than 12.5, and hence 12.5 is the right answer to this question. Okay, so this question now you should recognize as a kind of a repetition of the first question, and this is the last question for today. You should be able to recognize this as a repetition of the first question, and the question says let gx is equal to max of 5 minus x comma x plus 2, the smallest possible. Now this is the opposite. In the first question, what was happening? We had y was the minimum of x plus 2, 3 minus x. So what was y doing? For every value of x, the function y was finding these two outcomes and taking the lower one. In this case, what's happening? In this question, what's happening? The function gx, what is it doing? What is the function gx doing? It is testing the value for two expressions, 5 minus x and x plus 2. Both of them are straight lines, and taking the maximum of those two. It is not taking the minimum now. So, which basically means that if I visualize, it basically means, let me just clean this board. It basically means that if I am talking about 5 minus x and x plus 2, we know how x plus 2 looks. We saw that in the first question also. So x plus 2 is this line passing through a height of 2, and 5 minus x will be this line passing through the height of 5 on the y-axis, and essentially the gx function is basically testing both these functions and taking the maximum of the two. So again, this point becomes the turnaround point. Before this point, when the gx function at any point of x, any value of x, when the gx function tests x plus 2 or 5 minus x, it will find that the red line representing 5 minus x will be at a higher value than x plus 2, and hence the gx function will obey the red line, not the yellow line, on the left side of this. And likewise, on the right side of this intersection point, the gx function will obey the yellow line, because between the red line and the yellow line is higher. So this intersection point actually represents the lowest value of the function gx, and that's what the question is asking. Please remember, when they give you a max here, they'll ask you for the smallest. When they give you a min there, they'll ask you for the largest. So when you want to find the smallest possible value of gx, what you have to do is find the intersection point of these two graphs, which is, and this is how repetitive it starts becoming if you start picking up your understanding from questions. 5 minus x is equal to x plus 2. If you solve this, you'll get x is equal to 1.5. That's the value of x at which the intersection point of these two graphs happen. And the value of gx can be got by putting x as 1.5 to get this as 3.5 and this also as 3.5. So the correct answer to this question is 3.5, which is option D, none of the above. So that's what this question is all about. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll come back with more such content for you guys. Conceptual questions. Also look out for the previous year question series, and a lot of you have been requesting me for the CSAT solutions. I used to teach at Vajiram and Ravi, as a lot of you know, for almost 5-6 years. In between, I quit because of the fact that I did not want to spend so much time taking classes at Karol Bagh. And during that time that I was teaching, maybe I've taught a couple of lakh of people for civil services. A lot of them are IAS, IPS officers now. They keep pinging me, and of course the student community who knows about that also keeps asking me for doing the CSAT, something on the CSAT front. So I'll be, and specifically because CSAT has started becoming tough, so I'll also be doing the CSAT previous year question series, and many more things that you guys would want me to come up with. Please comment on the videos so that we get some traction, and we can continue doing good high quality work for you, right? We are not a channel which is going to give you crap. We are not a channel which is going to waste your time. Our focus is to make sure that you get value out of the time you spend with us. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.